Which company's helicopters pulled the first casualty from behind enemy lines, recovered Apollo astronauts from the ocean, and became the most trusted machines on every modern battlefield? From one daring wartime rescue in 1944 to 10 of the most recognized rotorcraft ever flown, Sikorsky didn't just build helicopters, it defined what they were for. And that legacy begins with a machine most people have never heard of. Igor Sikorsky believed helicopters could do more than just hover in a laboratory. His R4, born from the experimental VS-300, was the first helicopter built in real numbers, 131, produced between 1942 and 1944. Unlike earlier prototypes, the R4 introduced true three-axis control with cyclic and collective pitch, finally giving pilots the ability to hover steadily and maneuver with precision. On January 14, 1942, test pilot Les Morris took the R4 on its maiden flight, and soon after, the little two-seat machine proved its worth in a way no airplane could. In April 1944, Lieutenant Carter Harmon flew his R4 deep into the Burmese jungle, threading through heat and hostile territory to rescue a downed pilot and 3 wounded soldiers. It was the world's first helicopter combat rescue. The R4's modest size and limited range didn't matter. It could reach places nothing else could. For the first time, a wounded man behind enemy lines had a real chance at survival. Sikorsky's vision had moved from blueprint to battlefield, and the helicopter was no longer just an experiment. It was a tool that could change the outcome of a mission and save lives. If you could ask Igor Sikorsky what mattered most about the R4, would he talk about the machine or about the people it brought home? The Sikorsky H-19 Chickasaw arrived as a true workhorse, moving helicopters from rare rescue tools to daily essentials on the battlefield and beyond. Its forward-mounted engine freed up the cabin for real work. Stretchers, cargo, and up to 10 passengers could now ride inside, protected from the elements. In Korea, H-19s became lifelines, swooping into frozen valleys and muddy clearings to lift wounded soldiers straight from the front lines. Medevac teams worked quickly, loading the injured through wide doors, sometimes treating them mid-flight as the rotors beat overhead. The same roomy cabin made the H-19 the first helicopter approved by U.S. regulators to carry paying passengers, opening the skies to civilian transport and commercial operators. Whether shuttling troops, hauling supplies, or evacuating casualties, the Chickasaw proved that helicopters could serve as everyday vehicles for people and cargo. How might the story of air rescue and transport have changed without this leap in practical design? Salt spray, rolling decks, an endless horizon. These were the daily environment for the Sikorsky SH-3 Sea King. Designed with twin engines for safety and an amphibious hull that could land on water, the Sea King made shipboard helicopter operations feel routine. Navies around the world depended on it to hunt submarines, using sonar and radar to search the deep while crews stood ready for long hours over open water. Its hoist system turned overwater rescue from a desperate gamble into a dependable procedure, and sailors and pilots knew that if trouble struck, a Sea King could lower a cable and bring them home. On aircraft carriers, the Sea King became as familiar as the deck crew, launching and recovering in all weather day or night. For millions, its most public moment came during the Apollo missions, when Sea Kings plucked astronauts from the Pacific and delivered them safely to waiting ships. How did a machine built for war at sea become the helicopter that so many people trusted with their lives, from naval crews to astronauts returning from the edge of space? The Sikorsky S-64 Sky Crane stands apart from the rest of the helicopter world, built not to carry people or patrol coastlines, but to lift what no other aircraft could. Its frame is stripped to the essentials: a cockpit, engines, and a backbone strong enough to carry a 20,000-pound load. Instead of a spacious cabin, the Sky Crane relies on an open belly and a modular cargo pod, letting crews swap out equipment for whatever the job demands. Operators use the external hook and precision controls to place massive loads, transformer towers, HVAC units, even entire bridge sections, exactly where they are needed, often in rugged places where roads do not reach. In wildfire season, the Sky Crane's tank can gulp down thousands of gallons of water in seconds, then hover low over burning timber to drop it with pinpoint accuracy. Every mission depends on the skill of its crew, who turn raw lifting power into careful, exact placement. What other machine lets you build a power line across a mountain or save a forest from fire, all by flying a crane through the sky? The CH-53E Super Stallion is what happens when Marines demand the impossible: to move not just people, but armored vehicles, artillery, and entire supply lines from ship to shore, all in one lift. 3 engines roar beneath a 7-blade rotor, each revolution pushing the limits of what a helicopter can haul. On operations, crew chiefs and loadmasters work shoulder to shoulder, strapping down Humvees, pallets of ammunition, or disaster relief cargo, knowing that the next flight could mean the difference between stalled momentum and a breakthrough. With a maximum external load of 36,000 pounds, the Super Stallion can carry more than some transport planes, landing where runways do not exist. In Iraq, these helicopters built up forward bases overnight. In Haiti, they delivered clean water and medical teams when roads were gone. What does it take for a machine to become the backbone of an entire expeditionary force? On the modern battlefield, the Sikorsky U-H60 Blackhawk has become the helicopter that armies count on for nearly every mission. Introduced in the late 1970s, it was designed from the ground up to survive the dangers of combat, with twin engines for redundancy, a rugged airframe built to absorb hard landings, and seats that protect crews in a crash. The Blackhawk's role is never limited to one job. It moves infantry into hot landing zones, hauls supplies across contested ground, and races wounded soldiers from the front lines in minutes. When the mission changes, so does the Blackhawk. Doors open for machine guns, medical kits swap in for stretchers, and special operations teams load up for night raids. Its digital flight controls and composite rotors keep it agile, even under fire or in bad weather. For soldiers on the ground, the sound of Blackhawk rotors means help is on the way, whether that's reinforcements, evacuation, or a quick escape from danger. What does it take for a helicopter to earn the trust of every soldier who flies in it, day after day, through every kind of battle? For many people, the Sikorsky S-76 was the first helicopter that did not feel like a compromise. Introduced in 1977, it offered a quiet twin-engine ride and a pressurized cabin designed for comfort, not just utility. Business leaders and executives who once hesitated to board a helicopter found themselves stepping into S-76s for airport shuttles and city-to-city meetings. Offshore oil companies quickly recognized the value of a machine that could move crews safely to distant platforms, even in unpredictable weather. The S-76's smooth flight and reliable performance helped set a new standard, making helicopters not only acceptable, but expected in the world of corporate and offshore transport. The S-92 took that trust and carried it even farther. With a larger cabin, advanced avionics, and a reputation built on safety, the S-92 became the go-to choice for long-range flights over open water. Offshore energy operators rely on it to move dozens of workers to rigs hundreds of miles from shore, where a forced landing is not an option and every system must work flawlessly. The S-92's track record in civil search and rescue, especially after design changes prompted by real-world incidents, has reinforced its place as a helicopter passengers and crews can depend on, even in the harshest environments. What does it take for a helicopter to earn the confidence of people whose lives depend on every flight, day after day, far from land? On the decks of Canadian warships, the CH-148 Cyclone stands as the nerve center of modern maritime operations. Its purpose is not brute force, but information, detecting, tracking, and managing threats across vast stretches of ocean. Outfitted with advanced AESA radar, dipping sonar, and a secure digital data link, the Cyclone sweeps for submarines and surface vessels far beyond the ship's horizon. Naval aircrew now work as sensor operators and mission managers, fusing sonar returns, radar tracks, and intelligence feeds into a single tactical picture. The Cyclone's digital cockpit and integrated systems allow it to share real-time data with the fleet, turning each helicopter into a flying command post. In anti-submarine warfare, over-the-horizon surveillance, and coordinated fleet defense, the Cyclone shows how the role of the maritime helicopter has evolved, from lone rescuer to networked platform, where the most valuable payload is information. How will the definition of maritime power change as helicopters become the eyes and ears of the fleet? When the call comes in, lost aircrew, wounded soldiers, civilians in peril, the U-H60 Blackhawk answers with a promise: no one gets left behind, no matter the odds. Built from the Blackhawk's rugged airframe but tailored for rescue, the Pavehawk carries a 200-foot hoist, night vision compatible cockpit, and an in-flight refueling probe that lets it fly deep into enemy territory or across storm-lashed mountains. Its external tanks and extended range keep it in the fight long after others would have to turn back. Crews train for the worst: zero visibility, hostile fire, freezing wind, because survival often depends on reaching the unreachable. Every detail, from weather radar to armored seats, is there to serve one mission: bring people home alive. In Afghanistan's high valleys or the peaks of the Hindu Kush, Pavehawk teams have lifted survivors from cliffs and crash sites, sometimes under fire, always under pressure. The faces behind the controls, pilots, flight engineers, gunners, carry the weight of that mission, knowing that for someone on the ground, hope arrives on the end of a cable. What kind of machine and what kind of crew does it take to risk everything so others can live? Right now, Sikorsky helicopters still set the standard for missions where lives are on the line. From disaster zones to offshore rigs, their designs shape how we respond to crisis and move through the sky. So, which role do you think defines Sikorsky's legacy most today?